Lord Momin was before the Sith rule of two. Momin was before Darth Bane. Firstly, Momin never trained an apprentice. He specifically mentions that he never had an apprentice. So if Momin had been in the rule of two, then that means the Sith would have gone extinct after Momin, because after Momin's death, there would be no Sith left. So that's how we know that Momin was not in the rule of two, because Momin never had an apprentice, and the rule of two states that there are always two, no more, no less, a master and an apprentice. So it would make no sense for Momin to be in the rule of two. He would have to have been way before the rule of two. Secondly, Momin was caught by the Jedi when he died. So if Momin were in the rule of two, then the Jedi would have never known to look for him in the first place, because during the rule of two, the Jedi thought the Sith were extinct and the Sith were staying hidden. So the fact that he was caught by the Jedi shows that he was not in the rule of two, because the Jedi knew to look for him. And to add on to that, Momin was brazenly creating super weapons to devastate planets. So if he were in the rule of two, he wouldn't have been so brazen and open and honest about creating weapons to destroy planets, when the Jedi could easily just see that and realize that he was out there. So those are the reasons why it's clear that Momin was before the rule of two. Additionally, Momin is not a Sith name. Lord Momin was named Momin long before he was even a Sith Lord, because in a flashback, when he was a child, his mother calls him Momin. So it just shows that that was just already his name. And maybe Momin had a Sith name, but maybe he just didn't want to use it. And that would go with the fact that Momin was hated by other Sith. The other Sith viewed Momin as a pariah. They thought that Momin was a heretic. They thought that Momin was just weird. And Momin was practically an embarrassment for the Sith. So they tried to hide him from the Sith history. And the only reason Darth Sidious and Darth Vader knew Momin is because Darth Sidious found the mask, and the mask told Darth Sidious everything. So if Darth Sidious didn't know about Momin before he found the mask, then that would show that Momin's history was pretty buried into Sith. Like, it was pretty buried, and this other Sith didn't want them to know. So it would show that there were other Sith around at the time who saw what Momin was doing, and they were embarrassed by him, and they wanted to distance themselves from him, and they tried to cover up his history. And so the Sith didn't even talk about him, which would make no sense, because if Momin were in the rule of two, then the Sith would be talking about him, because he would be important to them. But the fact that the Sith didn't even want to talk about Momin, and they try to hide his history away, that shows that Momin was before the rule of two. He was just one of those fringe Sith lords. And the only reason Momin's memory lived on is because the Jedi put Momin's mask into the Jedi Temple archives, because obviously it was a dangerous object and they wanted to keep it away. So for those many reasons, we know that Momin was not in the rule of two. He was before that.